Good afternoon, this is Liz Bailey, owner of the paper crafting business My Elegant Cards, here for the second time today actually. I did my regular live at 11 o'clock this morning using Borders Abound, but I've had a few customers who would come to my classes say, we can't do this without you. We need to sit across the table from you and make the cards you've made, and we can do that, but we don't know how to do it on our own. So I thought I've started a what I'm calling mail and make card class monthly. It's $38. You get a $20 goodie bag, and you get a tutorial and the pieces to make the 6 cards. But I'm hoping that will help, but also I'm thinking if I do this video, and there may have to be more, I'm not sure, to show people the basics of stamping and how to design the beginning of this, maybe people will have enough confidence to give it a go. Because after all, it's only paper, and you can get more paper. And paper has 2 sides, so if you mess it up on one side, you just turn it over, try again, and if that doesn't work, cut another piece. It's pretty cheap. But anyway, I wanted to go through about a dozen things with you today, so that hopefully you'll be more confident in your abilities. So let me change my glasses because I can't see too well close up without, there we go. And I'll turn you down and we'll start talking about the trimmer, okay? So the trimmer, let me just move you forward a bit. The trimmer is brilliant. I mean, it's really, it's a tool you absolutely have to have, okay? So it has 2 different cutters. This is the real cutter, cuts paper like butter. See? This one, the lighter color does less damage, as in it scores. So I now have a nice score line in here, like so, okay? So those are the difference. Dark one does more damage, i.e. it cuts. The lighter one does less, i.e. it just scores. So that's that. Even though this is a very small track, it does get dust in. Well, it does in my house because I never put it away. So I like to get a piece of scrap, fold it over, and run it through here, pushing down, and as you can see, there's a whole load of dust and what looks like I think that looks like pretty peacock bits of the cardstock. So I usually do it twice, pretty much every time I start stamping, because there'll always be something in it. Yep, there's a bit more. So that's that piece. Now here is obviously where it cuts, right? So over here we've got just about 6 1/8. But you can also, as you can see, this is the extension, which I don't get out very often, so I'm not very good at it, but it will swing out, and you can get it to 12 inches, which I can't do here because my table's too small. but you can, if you've got a large enough table with enough space. But on the right hand side of the track, you've got up to 1.5 inches. It's also in centimeters, but I do inches. So you can slide a piece of cardstock, I've got one right here, to this side, and it goes up. There's a nice little lip at the end, so you push it there, push it up, so Now I would cut a beautiful 1.5 inch piece. See? And here it is, which is much easier than trying to hold a piece of paper, you know, hold it over this end. It just feels more secure over there, okay? So that's that piece. Now we get to the, okay, I've got my, let's see, I'll get a piece of card out. You know, you say, okay, I got it, I understand the trimmer, I get how I would use it, but what exactly do I cut? So, let's get this piece of purple posy out. May as well, it's retiring so soon. So, here's what I do. I move this to the other end so I'm not tempted to use it. This is an 8.5 by 11. So I put this in here at 4 1/4. You can see it's there. And then I use the scoring tool all the way down. So now all I have to do is put it at 5 1/2. Move that out of the way, don't need it. And cut it. And now I've got 2 identical card bases, right? So you can also, if you want, instead of scoring it that way, you could have scored it this way and cut it that way, which would give you a 10-fold card. So it would be joined at the top and it would be much taller. But you can also put these the other way too. So that's how I always do them. And I usually have a load of them already pre-scored, pre-cut and pre-scored in each color, so that when I'm carding I don't have to stop to say, oh, I need to cut that. I just reach into my file and there'll be some here. So that's that. So then the question is, well, what do I do to put something on here? So this is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 because you cut it halfway across, right? So a very basic way of doing it. Let me pull one out. That's not it. It's around here somewhere. I didn't get a basic one out. Well, okay. A very basic top. Yeah, here we go. Here we have one. Is this. And I have loads of layers cut like this. This is 4 by 5 1/4. It's a very simple way to make a card. And then you do your stamping and get it all ready, and then you put it on the layer. That's just in case you mess it up so badly you can't fix it. Most things can be fixed, but I like to build it later. So as I said, 5 1/4 by 4, very common. Then sometimes you think, well, I'd like to be a little bit more fancy, so I'd like another layer, please. So what we do in that case is we cut down the top layer an extra 1/4 inch. So this is 3 3/4 by 5. And then I make something that's a tiny bit bigger. So instead of 3 3/4, I've got this terracotta tile behind, which is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and you get this little 1/16 of an inch of a border around it, and it really sets it off. Okay, so let me show you. I've got a few more of those. Here's another one. Same deal. This is the 3 3/4 by 5 and the 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and it just, particularly if you match the colors a bit, as I have, here's the terracotta tile, I've got pear pizzazz, and then it's in the card, so it coordinates nicely. And it's kind of it really, I think it looks good, because that's well, I do them all the time. So next, let me get this out of the way. We don't need this anymore. We talked about that. Now let's talk about ink pads. These are the newer ink pads, and some people find them hard to open. I'm told that you should hold them like a compact. Well, I never had a compact, but I get the idea. You put it upside down and put your thumb there and you open it. Some of them are stiff. This one is stiff. So I can yank as much as I like, and it's really hard. So what I do is I just push very slightly. You see that tiny, it's gone in slightly. I push that like slightly, and then it's easy to open. The only thing is, when you're putting it back, you've got a gap here because it is because you've pushed it forward. Just make sure you push it back to make sure it's properly closed, so you don't lose any of the precious ink. Particularly this one, which is Misty Moonlight, which I love. So that's that. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to tell you, let's open it again. Upside down, push it forward a little bit. There we go. The other thing I wanted to tell you was about how to stamp on your, how to ink this up. Now, beginners often will go and try to push it through the other side of the table, which means they then get the ink all around here, which raises the probability that they will have halos when they're stamping. So what we're doing is, it's like a butterfly kiss, okay? It's tap, tap, tap. No pushing it through the table. And then you push it onto the card, and you give it a few, maybe a second or two to get it. You do not want to be going tap, 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 and then just kind of, as you can see, it blurs, it doesn't stand right. You need to introduce the ink to the card and let it be and transfer itself. So that's not good. Hold it down and it will be much better. Okay, that's what I wanted to tell you about that. What else? Stamp and wait. Oh, yes. So then, well, let's look at some of these embellishments. Now, some people use tweezers. I often use a pointy tool, but you can also use take your pick tool, and you can just, you want to slide it, that's the thing. So even if you use tweezers, don't just pull it upwards. You need to release it a bit. So I push it, and then I can get it onto my palette knife and apply it like so, okay? If you pull it upwards, you can, with some of them, you can actually split them apart. The other thing I've found that is also quite useful is on this one. Actually, it doesn't matter which one it's on. Oh, never mind, we'll use this one. Is you can bend this. This is too small, that's the problem. Yes, here we go. So if you bend the plastic, it brings it up a little bit, and then you can get your tool under and get it off nice and easy. Put that back there for now. So that's the embellishments, which I used to take out and look at and think, oh, they're so pretty, but never could actually use them. But now I'm getting much better. Dimensionals. Here's a small amount of dimensionals. There are little foam pads, I guess, and you can use them to put things further up. So you've got dimension, hence the word dimensionals, of course. But the one, and they're very easy to use. You just take one off the paper. This is now sticky. and you put it on your card, and then you can peel off this one. So it's two-sided sticky thing, foam pad, that will give dimension to your cards. Now, one thing I will mention is some people are like, well, you don't need much to hold something down. Where have I got something? Yes, here. This doesn't need a lot to hold it down, but if I just put them at the edges, then this would sink and be saggy. So what I tend to do is put, let's see, there's 4, looks like I've got 7 or 8 dimensionals here to make sure it doesn't sag. So they're very cheap. They cost about $1 a piece. So actually slightly more than that these days, but it's not much. And it's much better to spend a couple more pennies than it is to have your card arrive and look all sagged. So that's another point I wanted to make. Adhesives. We've got this tape runner. We've also got its stronger brother version, and we've also got this green glue. Opinions are divided. If you decide to use the green glue, be very mean with it. A little goes a long way, and if you put too much on, you'll make your paper soggy, and that, you know, nobody wants that. So I prefer the tape runner, but I use this when I'm trying to attach small pieces of card, and I can't think of what else I use it for. Maybe to hold a ribbon down, but usually for that I would use a glue dot, which are very handy. They come in a roll, and you just put whatever you want to be fixing on top of it, pick it off, and it's taken the glue dot with it, and sticks down. There's another one we have as well, which is tear and tape. So this is a very strong tape. I only use it for boxes, but you can just tear it, hence the name, put it down, and then you get your some pokey tool to pull up the paper covering, and you've now you've got that you can see the, I think you can see, I hope you can, it's obviously see-through, and it's very strong. It's great for boxes. Okay, I think I've used that piece enough. So what else do I want to tell you? Oh yes, a couple of years ago, Stampin' Up! Came out with new card. We had Whisper White and Very Vanilla, although now we don't have Whisper White, we have Basic White. But it's fairly, it's not flimsy, because I've touched other people's cardstock, and this is really high quality. But they made, let me show you one. They made others. So this is a thick one, which is much thicker than this. So we've got a thick Very Vanilla and thick Basic White, and I use the thick for the card bases because it's much sturdier, excuse me, and I use these for layers and sentiment things and so forth. It's just that it's not really as good as a base for this, so that's what I use. And I was going to show you some simple layouts in case you're still kind of okay, I see some of it, but I'm still a bit concerned. So let me show you a couple of very, well, let's go back to these two that we had before. These look very different, I'm sure you'll agree, but they're basically the same layout. And this one, yes, it's got a punch that punched out the sentiment, and I popped it up, and this one's just flat, but it's the same basic layout. And you could add, well, I've added some embellishments. You could add ribbon, but it's this is very basic, right? Then here's another one. Same layout, very different, well, very similar layout, but different, right? So I love this paper. This is from the boho, whatever I forgot what it's called, I can't believe it. But anyway, I took a piece of this gorgeous DSP, I think it's about 2 inches, and matted it in very vanilla, did the sentiment, which I've just realised looks like it was from there, yep, and a few embellishments and dimensionals again. And then this one, I'm trying to get it out of the sun, this one is thinner because I wanted to just have this one border down the middle, and it looked a bit too lonely if I had it wider. But I've got the same deal, a strip of something decorative. I've got, this time I matted it in copper foil, and then I put a sentiment across here and added some not dimensionals, well, yes, this is popped up with dimensionals, but added some embellishments, same as I did here, but in a slightly different place. But it's basically the same card, right? So you could do this. And then we get to these, which at first glance are not at all similar, but they are really, because what we've got here, we've got the card base, we've got something decorative on this one. This one is an embossed, dry embossed thing. You'd need a embossing and die cutting machine for this, so this might not be your first card to make if you're starting right from scratch. This one's this one is decorated with a piece of DSP, so they've both got decorative backgrounds. And then there's a main image matted again, and you've got a popped up sentiment. This one also has a ribbon. You know, you can add on whatever you want. And then just to show you, you don't have to be all about layers. This one is all flat except for the sentiment, which I popped up. And it needed a sentiment in the middle like that because of the way I stamped it. I've got all the ends under here, which don't look quite as pretty as the outside. So this hides it. You've got a bit of the pink, the Rococo Rose pulling it out. So you can make a pretty effective card just with one layer. You don't have to go crazy, and I don't tend to. I don't like too many layers. They detract. And the other thing I wanted to mention today, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some important stuff, is you could, let's say I had decided to, oh no, let's go to this one. Let's say I tried to stamp this and it went wrong. You know, I put a halo around it, it was wonky. There's ways to fix that. What I would do in that instance would be, I would get myself a piece of the card, I would stamp it again, and then I would go and die cut it. Or if you've got punches, you could do a punch and then put it over there, probably pop it up, and no one would be any the wiser. You can also say I'd been doing this one and I managed to get some of the ink on my finger and smeared a tiny bit there. An embellishment will hide it. You can also use ribbon to hide things. So if something goes wrong, don't panic. Think about how you can fix it, because there's usually a way. So I think that's the basics I need to tell you about. Oh, here's another one. When you are using your bone folder to to score, to burnish it, which is now much nicer. It will have left a slight shine down here. So I always put that on the back, because even if you can't really see it, I know it's there, and I don't want it to detract from my card. So anyway, so I hope this helped you. I'd like to ask you to go to the top of the page. There's an email sign up tab. If you fill that out, you'll join my mailing list, and you'll get to see the classes that I'm offering in case you're interested in them. So thanks for watching, and I hope this helped you. Please share it, and if you liked it, or have any comments about it, or think of something I may have missed out, then please let me know in the comments, and if necessary, I'll do another live on basics. Okay, thanks very much. Have a good day.